Hello, welcome to episode 31 of the Epic Film Challenge 2001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. Alfred Hitchcock's Rope, which was so boring.
Fuck off.
It's all one shot, so, oh god. No, Alfred Hitchcock's Rope from 1940 something. I'm not going to go for it in case I get it wrong. From the 40s, and it's the big concept. It's supposed to look like it was filmed in one shot. I remember my mum told me about this before I'd seen it, and she said, "Oh, you got to see Rope. It's amazing. It's just two people in a room for like the whole film." I was like, "What?" I just imagine like this, I imagine like a dark room and someone just sitting there looking at each other and talking. But it's actually a massive apartment with a couple of rooms, but it's mainly the main like entertainment, dining, guests over area.
Again, something that takes place in mainly one room.
Yeah, we just did the review for Rear Window, but it's completely different. Well, not completely different from Rear Window, but it has this concept where I think Alfred Hitchcock would have filmed this in one shot if it was physically possible, but you couldn't get a film reel that big to do it, so he had to do it in like 8-minute takes or something. And so whenever there is a cut in the film, the camera kind of goes in towards the character's back and then pulls back.
Yeah.
And so it's quite noticeable in a way, but at the same time it's still incredibly impressive.
Really smooth.
Yeah, I mean it's impressive, but then you kind of think, well, I mean in terms of the acting, you think, wow, that's so impressive. But then I suppose you have people who work in theatre and they do 2 hours in one take,
Mm-hmm.
But then there must be so much pressure, especially back then, where like you've got film in the camera, and you've been going for like 8 minutes. Film is expensive, time is money, and so there must have been some amount of pressure there for the actors. But either way, it's set within this apartment, and it opens with these two guys. Spoilers.
It's not really spoiler.
It's not spoiler. I was kidding.
The beginning of the movie.
I was kidding because it is at the beginning of the film. These two guys. Well, one of them I think is either way. There's 3 guys in the room, and one's being choked to death, and the 2 guys have killed him. They stick his body in this chest, and they're inviting people over just after this murder has taken place. Now, one of the guys, and I forget the characters' names, even the actors. One of them is very much like, "Oh, I can't believe we've done that. That was so cool. Like, we pulled off a murder, and now this is going to be, the cherry on the top. We're going to have people over for dinner, and we're going to put the drinks on top of the chest where his body is." It's like
called it art.
Yes, you're right. I forgot about that.
It's a piece of art.
Yeah, so
the kind of murder they did.
Yeah, whereas the other guy, it feels like he's been dragged along with him a little bit, and is kind of a bit.
It seemed like it was up to it until they did it. And then he regretted it in a way. And he
well, no, because the first shot is of them choking him, so we don't really see it before.
No, but he kept saying something like they talked about it or something.
Yeah, well, as the film progresses, you hear about his trepidation and stuff, and it becomes more clear that he regretted doing it and stuff. And so there's a very interesting situation where people are coming over, and the whole time this body is in the chest. And you have the 2 guys who've just done it, and the one is trying to keep very normal about it, and the other one is just like, he's almost just sat there like, "I can't believe it." He's just like, and the other guy's like, "Come on, keep it up, you got to pull this off." He almost feels like he wants this to go well and for everyone to leave before the murder is complete in a way.
The guy who liked it?
Yeah.
Well, to me it seemed like he almost wanted to get caught.
That's right, yeah.
He liked the thrill because all the people coming in, it was a dinner and they had set a table in the dining room.
Yeah.
But he purposefully placed all the food on top of the chests, and they'd be dining on top of the chest.
And it's worth noting that the people who came over were friends of his,
yes.
relatives of his parents, I believe, or at least one of his parents was there.
Yeah.
And also
James
Stewart, who is an old professor of the 2 main guys. And he's
Don't spoil
no,
what
I'm
part he has.
not going to spoil what part he has, but he is kind of, I'd say, the 3rd lead part of the film. He definitely has more to say and do than the other guests in the apartment and characters in the film.
Since we watched Rear Window first, and we were going to watch this one, I was excited to watch it because James Stewart was in it.
Yeah.
And so when he came in, I was like, yes! And if it was like a TV show or something, people would be clapping like, yeah! When he came in.
You really like him as an actor, right?
Yes.
I can't wait for you to see It's a Wonderful Life, because that is, to me, one of the all-time great films.
That is definitely in the book, right?
Yeah, 100%, and he is amazing in that. Anyway, I digress. Rope. It's a fantastic film. I love it. It's very simple, but it just works because of the performances and the tension that builds up.
And the way they use the rope. during the movie as well.
Yeah, the rope that was used to choke the guy, that's why it's called rope. And there is, I think, it's not all one, with the cuts, one flowing thing, because the opening sequence is different, I think, but either way, it's still really impressive.
And they changed the scenery outside to make it seem like time is passing by as well. It's the early evening, daytime.
That's right, yeah.
In the beginning, and it gets dark later on as the people leave and stuff, and it's just...
The apartment has this huge window that overlooks the city, and it's a painted backdrop. And I love stuff like that, even though you can tell that it's fake. I like going along with the suspension of disbelief that it is a real city and stuff. And when it goes to night, you see some of the lights, blinking and stuff, and so really, really impressive.
Clouds, I think.
I remember reading that Hitchcock was just like getting everyone to come to the set, like just people he knew. Like, go have a look at this set, how great it is. Like, he was so happy to show it off and stuff. Right, so I don't even need to go into spoilers with this one, I don't think. It's just suffice it to say that James Stewart's character played into it wonderfully, I thought, by the end, and it's a very dramatic ending, and yeah, it's just a great tension-filled film. It's not even that long, it's like an hour 20 minutes or something. Anything you want to add?
This is a short dinner party.
Short dinner party, yeah.
I want to add that from the very beginning, I was thinking that those two main characters, the two men, were partners.
Yeah, that's...
Because especially the one guy seemed... He didn't seem straight. That's not being mean or anything,
no,
but there
the way
was
that
something
he acted
about him that made him seem like he had a relationship with this guy, or at least that they'd had a relationship.
Yeah.
And that they lived together, because that's why it took place in that place, and so on. And they never mentioned it once, but Luke looked up some trivia, and it turned out that originally that was the meaning behind them.
Yeah, that was in the script.
But they never implied it because of the time it was filmed. Because it wasn't okay to be gay back then, and so they didn't publish the truth about their relationship. And I found that interesting because I saw through it, and I'm sure a lot of people, at least nowadays would, because it's okay to be gay now. But this was in the 40s. I mean, even in the 80s, people didn't find it okay to be... I mean, even now sometimes. But still, back then, I'm pretty sure nobody saw through that. Because...
Potentially, yeah.
It wasn't normal. And I found that really interesting, because it's just instant, I was thinking that. Could have been brothers, they could have been just friends.
Yeah.
But there was something there. And that, actually, to me... made the chemistry between the two guys even better. Like, they acted it out really well.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I completely forgot about that. It's a good thing you brought it up, because it's something I really would have wanted to talk about. But I didn't feel it as much as I think you did, but I could definitely tell some of it, I think. There was an air about it, for sure.
Yeah, it was in the chemistry between them. It wasn't like they were like, oh my god, what did we do? They weren't like that at all, and he wasn't even feminine. None of them were feminine.
No.
But it was something...
Something was there. Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And the way they were standing a little bit closer to each other than what, most people would if they're just friends. And the way... Yeah, it was something about the chemistry between them, and I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, definitely. And just, again, the overused word when it comes to Hitchcock films, the tension. The way that, like, just all these little things get thrown in there from the performances to like where the chest is, and I mean, let's not spoil this. At one point someone goes to open the chest and it's like, oh my god, you just...
It was tense, and it had moments where you're supposed to be at the edge of your seat. But I found Rear Window more suspenseful.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I would agree with that, yeah.
I'm not even sure... Well, I do know why, kind of. But it's just, it didn't top it for me.
That's fair, that's completely fair.
And, I don't know.
But there's still tension there and suspense.
Well, yeah, definitely. In the 40s, I'd be like, oh my god! But now we've seen so many suspense...
Yeah, but I
thrillers and psychological thrillers, and now it's like...
I still think Hitchcock is one of the masters of it, though. Like, he really just knows
Imagine what he would do nowadays.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
That age now, and did movies now, nothing.
That's a great thought, actually, just to imagine something like that. Yeah.
And again, imagine Charlie Chaplin, imagine Buster Keaton. Well, if Buster Keaton kept going. Like,
yeah,
imagine the movies they would have nowadays. Yeah.
different times. But is it a film you must see before you die?
Did you say?
No. I would say yes, absolutely. It's not as surefire a yes as a Rear Window, but I still think and I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 film. For me, it's about a 9, but I think it's great, and you know, not even just because of the way that it's all long takes. Like, that's why you should see it. I just think it's a very well done film and has great characters and stuff, and the way that you have just a few characters, an apartment, you really get to know them like the whole time. You know, I mean, is there ever a point in the film where you're not with those two main guys, and it plays out in real time? So you get so much of their character and their relationships and all that kind of thing. So it's, yeah, definitely a yes for me. What about you?
Yeah, it's a yes for me as well. I don't know why I had to think about it.
Well, I guess just the comparison to Rear Window, even though there isn't a big comparison between the two, but we watched them both fairly, I think, in the same week or something, and we're now reviewing them back to back. So
if you had to choose between the two, to me, I would choose Rear Window.
Yeah, same. That's what I said. But
I mean, you don't have to choose. It's in the book. 1,001 movies that you have to watch before you die. So it's a simple yes.
At this point, I'm trying to compare things. Like, okay, this is a romantic comedy. Is it as good a romantic comedy as that one? And with this, I'm thinking. I guess I just thought, well, it's two Hitchcock. So, but then no, he just really is that good, and definitely a yes. And thank you for watching.